Hello everybody, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to talk about one of the biggest problems with teachers. And it's not so much about that there's anything wrong with teachers, it's more about how we receive their teachings. What I'm going to focus on is comparison, that we start to compare ourselves with other people we give authority to. And the background to this is that we are all very unique individuals. We all come into this realm with different purposes, with different unique lessons to learn, and different pre-incarnate blueprints. And the pre-incarnate blueprint is the objective of this incarnation, what our soul wants to experience during this lifetime. And these experiences that are sought by the soul can be very different depending on person. What is success and evolution for one person might look very different for another person. And when we listen to a teacher who's talking about their freedom, how they found happiness, how they found liberation, what gives happiness and liberation to one person might not be the same process to another person. Here, we need to start to look to what feels right for us, to what feels true to us. So even though a teacher is very authentic and share their world that is very balanced and very authentic to what they are supposed to experience, that can detract you from what you're supposed to experience and the way you are supposed to expand. An example of this might be for people who are studying non-duality. A lot of non-dual teachings, they say that non-duality is the only way to liberation and to happiness. But that might be true for them, but for another person, the non-dual path might be completely inauthentic for them, and that will detract them for what they are supposed to experience and what gives them authentic happiness. So we all need to listen to what we resonate with. When we are listening to a teacher, we can always see if there's resonance with what they have to say. So if what they share as truth for them, if that resonates with you and it feels truthful for you, well, then it is your truth as well, and you can keep this. But if they say something that do not resonate, then you can let this go, and you need to work on this discernment where you can let in what resonates and you will refuse what do not resonate. Since our minds are tuned in different ways, we are all made to expand and explore our own consciousness in our own way. We also have to look at personalities, because personalities can be a huge distraction in how we expand ourselves. Because we look at teachers as authorities and as embodiment of a certain attainment or of a certain success. An example can be the non-dual attainment, and we have teachers who's very authentic, who I respect immensely, like Eckhart Tolle or Sri Ramana Maharshi, who are both extremely peaceful in their personality, very sort of at ease, not very animated. We can start to think that if we start to attain the same perception or the same sort of consciousness as they do, we will be as chill or as collected as they are. But that is their personality that is that way. That do not really have to do too much with their attainment. We can have another example of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who were very, very deep in his attainment of peace. And he was extremely animated, very, very fiery, where he yelled at students and so on. And this doesn't mean that he had any less peace within him. That was just his personality. So we should not look too closely at personalities and thinking that this is the carrier of the inner attainment. It can be very helpful if we start to learn about personalities and personality systems, because we are all different lenses. And we live with this self-reference where we think everybody is the same. We start to look at other people and think they act very strange all the time. And we are wondering why other people think we are strange. But this is the different lenses clashing. If we start to learn about our own lens, we can start to balance this lens, and we can start to interact with reality in a way that is authentic and aligned with this lens, so we do not go against our own nature. And we can start to align our own behavior in a way that is suitable to other people's lenses. And ways to study personalities is the study of the Enneagram, astrology, or human design. All of these show how we are imprinted with our own distortions. For example, I'm an Enneagram type 5, which is a thinking type. I'm quite heady. When I share about my world, how I perceive the world, and I perceive human liberation and human expansion, that will be biased towards the structural, towards the conceptual. Another person who is more biased towards the emotional will talk about very different aspects of expansion, probably with more focus around the energies and expansive states of emotion that occurs with this expanded view of reality. So we can see how different people will explain their world in very different ways based on their own distortion. And all of us, we are distorted. There's no lens that are completely sober. So if we need to meet in perfect agreement, we all have to go into perfect silence, because that is the only place without distortion. But once we start talking, once we start perceiving, that is all distortion. How do we start to find our own uniqueness, and how do we start to align with our own unique path? Then we need to start to look inside of ourselves, and we need to start to pay attention to our own inner feedback system, our own intuition, or as we can say, the inner tuition. Primarily, this inner tuition is our own deeper nature, our own higher dimensional aspect that is guiding us through what we like, what is inspiring us, what gives us excitement, what we become interested in, what we feel joy around, and so on. So this guides us with very positive states. So we can start to follow this positive current. If we align with this current, we will align with an evolutionary path that is quite effortless, because to follow what gives us joy and inspiration, that is not something that is difficult for us. But if we go against this current and start following desires and motivations that is not aligned with our own inner nature, this can be very difficult for us, because we go against our own blueprint, what we are meant to do here. Just aligning with this blueprint, with this inner tuition, that will give us a very balanced, aligned path towards our own expansion and our own joy, because we are here to be happy. This is not a realm of suffering. We are meant to be happy, and we are meant to enjoy this experience. But it's very easy to start to suffer because we are not aligned with our own nature. We start to align with energies that do not serve us. What we have to do is that we have to start to decondition from external programs, external values, desires, and so on that have been put into our system that overrides this inner guidance that we are born with. And these systems are programmed from the education system, from the media, from social media, and so on. And this works as distractions from our inner guidance system. We have to start to question everything that is put into our consciousness and start to align what is actually true, because there are authentic desires and there are inauthentic desires. And the authentic desires, that is the desires that guides us to how we can expand, to how we can evolve as people. The inauthentic desires, those are the programs that comes from our culture that do not serve our individual growth. That is desires that is aligned with some false ideal, some false idol that do not really belong to our own authentic nature. Let your inner being be the authority and the compass to your own growth and your own evolution. Because to align with this inner being, that is the path to happiness. Happiness is when you are aligned to your own nature. when you are not happy, that is when you are not aligned to this inner energy. So happiness is your own nature, that is the signature of yourself. Create your own ideal and your own measurement of success and stop comparing yourself to other people. If we move the other way, we have talked about how we should receive teaching from other people. When we are giving teachings to other people, how do we do then? It's very easy when we become super excited about something that have worked for us, something that have changed our lives to the positive, that we start to want to talk to other people about it and share what we have found within ourselves. We have to be very careful to impose our own view on another person, because whatever we have to share, it may or may not be aligned to how this person is supposed to grow and evolve. We should be careful of breaking the free will boundary where we push our own agenda into another person, because we do not want to experience this on the receiving end. We do not like when people impose their idea onto us. Most people are very well-meaning even when they impose their ideas on other people. All of us who have sort of moved out of the mainstream have experience of this, when people think we are insane when we start to have a different outlook on how society function and the different outlook on what important and what gives happiness. And a lot of people want to push us into line again because they are worried about us. We do not really appreciate this. We want to be left alone. We know best ourselves what is best for us. So we always need to look at this both ways. Even though we are well-meaning, we might start to push somebody out of their own pre-incarnate blueprint, what they are supposed to do, to know, and so on. We do not really know what they are supposed to experience in this lifetime. What we can do that is very simple is that we are always the example of our own evolution. We are always a walking demo of our own consciousness. If we walk around happy, radiant, and full of joy, people might start to become curious about what do we do to be this happy? How do we think? What kind of choices do we make? And then we can start to share about ourselves. We can start to share bits and pieces about our own worldview. This can happen from invitation. Also, what we can do is that we upload our own worldview on YouTube, and whoever wants to watch it can just click the video. That was all for this video. I hope you liked it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.